you can only sell yourself so much, but when other people are providing that feedback for you, that's what's gold. And I mean, look, the post is good, right? It's in the written, but if you actually got him sitting there telling his story, how he felt beforehand, how he feels now, and people can just see that, that's just a huge transformation, you know. A very powerful thing you could do as well, if you had the resources and you knew that there were certain people coming to your event with certain circumstances, is you would get the before type, you know, a little, hey, just tell us just quickly, 30 seconds, why you're here, what are you hoping to achieve? This is before the event. And then after the event, you just see a totally different person, you know. Say, look, like you never want to say, look, we've miscalculated the price, you know, due to the economy, etc. You never want to say that. It makes you look incompetent, right? And it automatically, it'll discredit you in the eyes of them. It's how can you turn the tide, right? I would say, look, we're going to gift you, you know, we're currently running a 2-for-1 special right now. And because you've already registered, we want to gift you another ticket for free so you can bring a friend along with you. So then what you're doing is you're now allowing this new group of people that potentially wanted to come, but it's well without their budget. So all of a sudden, you're allowing more people in the door, but you're also now, instead of discrediting yourself, telling the people who have already invested in it that we made a mistake, you're actually gonna look like a hero now because you're giving them an extra ticket. That is how you can bolster those numbers quickly. So all of a sudden, instead of 10, you got 15. And you haven't had to give half the money back, right? Because that's, if you give half the money back, you have to get that amount of another 10 people to even get even to where you are right now. It just doesn't make sense. I just saved you thousands of dollars. I'm glad you asked me that before you went and did that. Oh, it's good, that's what I'm here for. You'll get more people watching it from the group if you go live in the group. Now, obviously, you know, it's that you have to go live again, but in the same token, I think it's definitely worthwhile testing it out and trying it, you know? Because here's the reality, and this is what people don't look at. You've got a Facebook group with a couple of hundred people in it, right? Those couple of hundred people are your core audience. You could have 5,000 friends and you might only have 1,000, you know, or you might have a couple, you know, 1,000 friends and only 100 of them might be your core audience. So all of a sudden, it's not about how many views you're getting, it's the quality of the view. You don't have a lot of writing experience. I guess my writing experience has simply come from writing a heap of blog posts, writing heaps of different sales copy, and writing a book as well. And it's always about, what do I want people to think? What do I want people to be feeling once they've read this? Like, what sort of representation does this, even though it's a paragraph or it's a bio or something small like that, there's still massive validity in making sure that it's, like, if you read it, it's a true representation of what your business and brand stands for. We're a dedicated group of professionals relentlessly driven in the pursuit of delivering digital strategy at the forefront of innovation for our clients. So that automatically, if you hear that versus we're a digital marketing company, you know, I mean, it speaks volume. So every word, every sentence, every paragraph, every image that we put out there to the world is a representation of your brand. You know, so it's really important. If someone has a good enough incentive, they will actively send referrals to, because it's in their interest. The real referrals come from someone else seeing something in it for them to be able to then pass on a referral. Like, if you come to me and you said, look, for any person you refer to our business and they take up, you know, whatever, blah, 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 we'll give you $3,000 for each person. I'd be like, okay, cool. And then if the exact same business, another business came up to me in the exact same product and service and they said, hey, can you refer anyone to me? And that's it. Guess who I'd go with? 9 times out of 10 it'll be the commission-based one. Now, of course, there's relationships and all of that stuff that come into play, right? But I'm not talking about that right here. I'm talking about what is going to get someone to actually actively think. Because what you've got to remember is those BNIs and all these groups, it's just exposure to oh yeah, this person's looking for a referral, this person's looking for a referral. And it's not until something sparks within inside you going, oh, I can get a win out of this as well. You know, I've been to the referral meetups before where someone's like, all right, who are you looking for? Stand up and tell everyone who you're looking for. Well, I'm looking for accountants. Cool, all of your accountants, go see them. Like, that's just like shit referral. You need to get up and you go, look, I'm looking for accountants. I'll pay anyone $1,000 per accountant they can send to me. Hold on a minute. All right, and of course I just threw that out there. It doesn't mean that's the philosophy, but you see where I'm going with it. You need to go, why would I actively search inside my brain and try and think about actually someone to give? So it's just another way to go above and beyond the, hey, let me know if you know any doctors, or let me know if you know any builders looking for this. Because then you're just sitting there, fingers crossed, going, shit, I hope someone refers me. It's interesting because this morning, a friend of mine, Michael O'Neill, he runs the Solopreneur podcast. I was like, oh, because it would have been about a year ago I did it, maybe a little bit longer. No, it was a year ago. And I was like, oh, I'll listen to it. I can't remember what we talked about. And I'm there listening to it. And it was funny because even when I was watching the vlogs, because we're running a couple of days behind at the moment with editing versus getting them up. And I don't even know what I'm going to be saying. Like, I can't remember that moment in the video a lot of the times. And this morning I was listening to the podcast, and he'd asked me a question, and I was like, this is how I'd answer it. And I started talking how I think I'd answer it. And it was cool to see how many times I said the same thing versus a totally different answer. What's that got to do with coaching? But it's that the ability to be able to, self-coach yourself. And every single time I'm giving someone some advice, it doesn't mean I'm actually doing that all the time myself either, right? Let me explain. I started as a personal trainer about 8-9 years ago. It's probably 10 years now, geez. I was in a lot better shape than I certainly am now. Actually, I was in good shape, really good shape. Remember that? So, back in the day I used to, that was when I was benching. No. Anyway, so I was in great shape, and I was telling my clients not to eat KFC, not to eat McDonald's, right? Friday, KFC was my lunchtime treat. So it's that sometimes it's the mix of how much of your own advice do you take versus not. And it's cool to be able to watch these things back and go, that's some good advice, And all ego aside, it's good to be able to go, fuck, that's actually a good piece of advice. Am I doing that right now? Or have I dropped the ball on that? There's a couple areas of my life at the moment that I know of, with the introduction of the Campbell Media Group, the whirlwind we've been on for the last, 6, 7, 8 weeks, whatever it is now, 6 weeks. There's never that concept of the wheel of life, the balance of every single spoke in your life is going to be equal. When you're out there putting in, 12 hours yesterday, by the time I probably leave here today, it'll be another 11, 12 hours, and this is it's what's now starting to become the norm. When I was listening to this episode a year ago, I was sharing the strategy on how I had 174 days off, right? How I went through the process of writing my book, the whole concept of lifestyle design. And for me, it was actually really nice to see the total opposites, the parallels of that, because then I was listening to it going, shit, I'm not even doing that now. But I'm not doing that now of choice, right? It's because I'm choosing to do this. So I don't know where the fuck I went with that, but that was a bit of took myself on a journey. Just take your own advice sometimes, if you need it. Coaching is the biggest personal development journey ever. Most people, and I was that person at the very start, but this is what I sort of stand against now. I think there needs to be a barrier of this, is most people who are in the coach, and when I say most people, I hate saying most people, because what does most people mean? There are a large segment of people that I know who are coaches, but they're still learning the ropes of it themselves. But when you're coaching other people, you're aware, you're present, you're in it, you're doing it. So you're sort of self-coaching yourself as you're going along, which is not the way I truly believe a coach should really be. But I do know that a lot of coaches spawn from that, spawn from I'm going to teach you as I'm going. Everyone is on a development journey, right? Whether they're stagnant, they're moving forward, or they're just going backwards. I talk about being very aware and very self-aware with myself. These videos just bring it up even more. brings up even more. Because there's sometimes where I might say something and I'm like, well, that's pretty incongruent with me right now. Again, because I'm not perfect. No one says the right stuff all the time. But it's being able to go, stop, hold on a minute. You know, this injury, this foot that's happened, you know, I was talking to you, there's a number of things that can hang around that. Things happen for a reason, obviously. Having 2 days on my back, laying on bed with my foot up, gave me some good time to readjust, rethink and reset. You know, and I needed that. I personally needed that. You know, I've been going hard for 6 weeks or whatever it is. And it was just a good reminder. So, you are your best coach. You just need to be in tune with yourself to be able to recognize that, because no one knows better than you do, because you're the only one who really knows what's going on in here. I think we got somewhere. That was good. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's vlog. If you've gotten anything from today's episode, any lessons, anything that popped up for you, please be sure to let us know. Leave a comment below, and also please be sure to like and subscribe so you do not miss out on any future episodes.